Wow, these get closer and closer. It's like the Doppler effect. Meow, it's game week 42 in the Championship. I hope you're all good with me tonight. As always, it's my co-host. It's Mark Ryman. How are we getting on, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good. You know, it's the best league in the world when no one wants to leave it, top or bottom end, right?
Yeah, so for transparency, we're recording this Wednesday night. There are some games going on. There are some really interesting games going on. Yeah, in the playoff push and at the bottom of the table, ramifications both ways. But they're nearly done, and I'd say these games are quite cut and dry. Other than Coventry,
2 out of 3.
Yeah, they're pretty much cut and dry unless something crazy happens. But a reminder before we kick this off: remember, if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button because we cover the Championship, and you'll get us talking about the Championship, the greatest league in the world, bar none. I don't want to hear any of that Premier League bollocks. Right. Let's kick this off. It's Burnley versus Norwich.
Yeah, Burnley, now the new nominated leaders of the pack, all for about 5 minutes until Leeds won on Tuesday night, of course. Nobody wants top spot today. Nobody wants top spot. No. It keeps changing hands. Norwich, just away from home, no chance in this one for me. This, Q Norwich winning 3-2. Can't see it happening. Burnley 2-0. Burnley still keeping most of their games to very limited chances for the opposition. And at home, I can see this being a straightforward win for them. Yeah, so Burnley 2, Norwich 0.
Yeah, we don't compare these. I've also gone Burnley 2, Norwich 0. I don't rate Norwich in the slightest. Looking at their results, it's a real mixed bag. 1 win in the last 5. I've said it on Champ Chat. Johan Hothar, I can't see him lasting until next year because there are expectations at Norwich. It's a big club, great history, and they should be genuinely in and around the playoffs. Not like looking up and hopefully getting there. Whereas Burnley, they just got to keep their foot on the gas right now because you take advantage of some slip-ups. Like, look at Sheffield United, They've taken advantage of that. They've kept the gravy train rolling. So, Burnley 2, Norwich 0.
Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty safe bet, isn't it? And you're right about Norwich. I mean, if it wasn't for teams like Stoke and Luton of recent, then the bar would be a bit higher in terms of relegated teams. And Norwich really haven't performed since being relegated from the Premier League at all. And they've got the squad to be a lot higher than they are. All around the pitch, not just the standout names as well. Been really disappointing, but I'm with you. Managerial change looks absolutely nailed on for next season.
It does indeed. And I don't even think like those like little slick through balls from Marcelino Nunez or Ono Hernandez. I don't think even those will be able to unlock Burnley. They're just too good. Defensively, they're ridiculous. How many goals conceded? 12 goals in 41 games. That's insane.
It's mad.
Insane. It's like Scott Park is the second coming of Jose Mourinho, Championship edition. Someone else at the top of the table. It's
for now
Leeds United versus Preston North End.
Yeah, top of the table, but what have we got coming up at 12:30 kickoff? They love those, don't they? I've still got 1-0 Leeds. I think it's going to be a really tight, horrible game, to be honest. I mean, their last game, to be fair to Leeds, I don't know, I'm sure you did see it, highlight-wise, in terms of the goals not given for offside. I mean, there were some absolute shockers in there. Leeds should have won that comfortably. 2 goals, miles onside, but particularly the second one. I think it's Tanaka, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Just ridiculous decision. Absolutely ridiculous. So they still won the game and should have won it more comfortably. I'm going to go 1-0. Preston have looked like they're thrown in the towel a bit against the bottom end of the table, but teams tend to raise their game for Leeds. So I think it'll be close, but still 1-0 Leeds.
Yeah, I've gone 1-1 here. A bit different. I think Preston will raise their game because, that happens when the big boys roll into town. And whether you like it or not, Leeds United are big boys in this league. So I suspect Preston will raise the game. And look, they're very good draw specialists. Leeds can be penetrated, as shown by Luton Town. And you look, they won their last game, but they drew their 3 prior to that. So I think there could be a wobble, and Preston do have some quality up top. Yes, they don't have anything to play for except pride. And when Leeds roll into town, there's a lot of pride on offer. Yeah.
Yes, certainly is. Yeah, there certainly is. I have that same feeling. I've not gone quite as brave as you at Ellen Road, but I can see it happening, either of them. And no team wants to be top at the moment, do they?
No, they don't. It's a hot potato. Is this one a derby?
No,
they're kind of close, aren't they?
You could go with a Lancashire-Yorkshire derby there.
They're
Preston's Lancashire, Leeds is West Yorkshire.
Did they fight
they're
wars?
Not that far away.
They fought wars once upon a time.
Are we doing history and geography? Because I haven't got time for all these subjects.
Yeah, you're on holiday for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Mate. Right, yeah. Come on. This is ridiculous.
I know. Right, okay. Another one at the top and bottom. Well, they're not top, are they? It's Plymouth Argyle versus Sheffield United.
Yeah, Wilder started talking about referees, everyone.
He blames everything.
And Luton.
He'll blame everything. He somehow managed to work Luton into his post-match.
Yeah, I mean, this is the concern, isn't it? He was very upset that they weren't given a penalty at the end of that game. And he
loves a whinge.
A point. He does love a whinge. And it's 2 games in a row he's lost 1-0. And Millwall are capable of doing that to any team, but the Oxford result, when you look at how things are going for Oxford, that's pretty inexcusable. And actually in that game, Sheffield United created next to nothing as well. Now, bear this in mind, I made this prediction before tonight's games, and currently, feel free again, Ollie, to correct me because I'm not looking at the scores at the moment, but Plymouth are losing 3-0 to Swansea as I last checked, but I went for 1-1 here. I think Plymouth were at the time under a resurgence, sort of, against Norwich. They've not been too bad of recent weeks. They've just not been quite as good as the resurgence of the teams above them, really. Again, but pretty unlucky that everyone in the bottom third of the table have decided to start winning games. Sheffield United have decided that once they got top, that was their mission completed. It didn't matter how long they were top for. That'll do. Tick that box. We can relax, and you're going to be relaxing into the playoffs at this rate. 1-1. I'm still not convinced that it won't stay that won't be that score either, despite the result tonight with Plymouth.
Yeah. So I've gone a bit more bold than you. I've gone 1-0 Plymouth. Look, games are running out. They are still within grasp of the teams above them. One win can turn it all on its head, and Plymouth have gone to teams in form and at the top and turned them over. They have. They did it to Sunderland twice. Well, they didn't turn them over, but they got 2 very good draws, I think, or 1 win and a draw. I can't remember.
4 points. I think they got 4 points.
Yeah, they got 4 points off Sunderland, and Sunderland were absolutely flying at the time. So, look, never bet against Plymouth. I'm backing them to might even make the Mullock of the week, to win 1-0, because right now, Chris Wilder is blaming anything that's not nailed down, to be honest. If there's like a worm in the grass, he'll blame it for tripping up his players, like genuinely anything.
Let's just hope the lino doesn't start in a sandwich at full time, otherwise we're really in trouble.
Yeah, Chris Wilder, he'll just go red in the face, won't he? And start like, rip off his clothes.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not, for everyone's sake.
I know, exactly. Right, here we go. Relegation, 6-pointer. It's Cardiff City versus Stoke City.
Yeah, 2 in a row for Stoke as well. And you've got to wonder, in a 3-game week, do they have it in their locker to be able to go again with this one? I think, it's a really interesting one. I think in both cases, they look like both teams have found some version of form. It's not been brilliant from either. There's definitely some bumps in the road, but it's been for both teams a lot better than in previous weeks. Cardiff got a last-second gasp draw, and of course Stoke conceded in the last few minutes against Luton to draw as well. I think both games probably deserve to be a draw, really. I've gone therefore for a draw 1-1. I think it's really difficult to call. It's going to be a horrible, nervy affair, isn't it? With two teams that desperately want to win. Obviously, the win will be more important for Cardiff, being in the bottom three at the moment, than it will be for Stoke. But Stoke desperate to sort of have some breathing space. Yeah, I can't pick a winner, so 1-1.
I've actually, I've picked a side here, and I've gone Cardiff 1, Stoke 0. I think from the two teams, Cardiff have more about them up top than Stoke do. Having seen both teams, I don't see much from Stoke. And Stoke, they've just been sort of poor and had like a little resurgence recently, whereas Cardiff have been abject all season. If you compare like the first 35 games to the last 6, pretty much all the teams in the bottom, bar Cardiff, they're all on, absolutely diabolical, like 0.9 points per game for the first 35. And then the last 6, they've gone up to like between 2 and 1.5 points per game. Cardiff have been abject all season, as in they've been averaging like 1.2 or 1.1 points, 1.05 points per game all season, like first 35 and the last 6. So I think they'll out mediocre Stoke, in my opinion, and the 3-game week will play a role in this as well. So I'm backing Cardiff for this one. Really?
Yeah, I mean, it could happen either side. So it's going to be close, but you're right. I don't, Stoke going forward. They looked good up to a point, I think, against Luton, but Luton's defence is so much improved as well that there was a little spell actually in the first 10 minutes of that game where you thought this was going to be a real end-to-end humdinger. It was going to end up really high scoring, and then all of a sudden both teams decided that actually they couldn't cope with the stress of it and stopped attacking for another 70-odd minutes. But, I tend to agree. I mean, they had Sam Gallagher up front. They've got Al Hamady as a substitute, although they can kind of swap places. Both of them have got their own attributes, but neither of their attributes involve scoring a lot of goals.
No.
And that's the problem, isn't it? So, yeah, I tend to agree there. It's going to be tight either way. Yeah. Good news for the other teams down there.
Oh, yeah, exactly. The commentators last night were saying, Stoke are only a good goal scorer away from mounting a playoff challenge. I was like, well, they need a fair bit more than that,
That's a big jump, isn't it?
They need a goal scorer and a couple of miracles,
and a time machine that goes back about 10 years, I think, with Stoke.
It brings back Xherdan Shaqiri and Marko Arnautovic.
Where did he go from Stoke? Was it?
He went.
Who was it? Was it something ridiculous? But it wasn't PSG, was it? It was something like that, though.
No,
crazy.
That was.
I thought it was Shaqiri, but anyway,
they had another player that went to PSG. That was that
I
fella that missed a goal from on the goal line, and he missed it.
Right.
God, who is he? Massive bloke.
Not Arnautovic. You took Arnautovic.
Arnautovic went to China.
That's right, yeah, because he had the hump. Anyway.
Yeah, right, on to the big match of the weekend. It's Luton Town versus Blackburn Rovers.
Yeah, I mean, another team that can't score against a team that loves to lose. I mean, if it wasn't for Sheffield Wednesday being on the beach and just giving up after scoring 2 goals, I don't know where Blackburn would be in terms of records of losing games, to be perfectly honest. You cannot trust Sheffield at all, United or Wednesday, to get a result over the line at the moment, can you? But yeah, Luton need to win this game. Blackburn, for a long time, look as if all of the wind has been completely removed from their sails, and Valerian Ismail is sitting there wondering what the hell he's decided to get himself into after taking a team from the edge of the playoffs to give it another few games of the season, and they'd be right in the conversation with relegation. So, yeah, look, despite Luton's lack of goals, I think at home that they win this one. I've gone for 2-0. I would normally go for a 2-1. That's my kind of go-to at the moment. But the last 2-1 predictions have led to draws. So I'm going to try and go slightly more optimistic. I think Luton could easily keep the clean sheet. It's just where those 2 goals are coming from. I would say that Milanek Ali for Luton was an absolute revelation against Stoke. And every time he's come on for any period of time for Luton has looked exciting. But that finishing product, he had a couple of shots. One obviously that went in on the near post was excellent, and to beat the keeper in what's his name? God, I've completely forgotten his name.
Vic Johansson.
Vic Johansson, thank you for that. To beat Vic Johansson at your near post, you've got to thunder it in. And his first shot actually was one small deflection away from going in as well. Yeah. So yeah, I think that there's my optimism for Luton scoring more than 1 goal. And I just don't see where the next win for Blackburn's coming from. I really don't. I think they look, okay, they did bring it back from 2-0 down, but I think that says more about Sheffield Wednesday than it does them. We'll soon see on Saturday, though. So, yeah, Luton 2, Blackburn 0.
Yeah, I'd like to think there'd be a clean sheet there, but I've been scarred by that in the past. I got Luton 2, Blackburn 1, Blackburn are abject. They're terrible. It's the Cauley Woodrow effect, and he's not even going to be able to play in this game. But they stopped the rot, didn't they?
They did.
Ended that losing streak with a draw. I guess we'll see what happens. But a reminder as well, we're going to be doing the Luton Town big match preview. So that will be on our channel probably tomorrow or Friday morning, depending on when you're going to watch this. So check that out. But for now, I'm just giving my score prediction as Luton 2, Blackburn 1. Right, on to the M Derby. It's Millwall versus Middlesbrough.
Oh, I thought you were going to do the same thing with Middlesbrough.
Middlesbrough.
Thank you. That was better. I've gone for Old Faithful, 1-0 Millwall. Yeah. Look, I think Borough are a funny side, aren't they? Look, as soon as you think they're in some kind of consistent form, they got themselves into the playoffs with 3 wins out of 4. It's almost impossible to see how well that side played. And yes, all right, they were playing Oxford and Blackburn, who we've just discussed. Some of their, I think it was their second goal against Oxford was incredible. It's amazing to see that, considering the team that we both saw at Kenilworth Road the week before. But as soon as it looks like they've picked up some form, they then get beaten. It was Leeds. Obviously, that's a tough game for anybody. So the caveat is there. Millwall, on the other hand, have just taken the win against Sheffield United, and they're at home. So, yeah, Borough on the road from at least the memory of the Luton game makes me think that they'll struggle here. 1-0.
Yeah, snap. I've got 1-0. I've got 1-0 too. Middlesbrough, very good attacking team. Millwall, very good defensive team. So I think Millwall will be able to just sort of nip away, and Ivanovic will most likely just nick a goal, because that's what he's very good at. He's a very, very tidy player at this level. And look, Middlesbrough are in the playoff places, which means they're going to drop out of form now. So Coventry or West Brom can replace them. And Millwall, if they beat them, they go level on points, but behind on goal difference, unless Millwall beat them 6
that way.
Unless they beat them 6-0. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. 5-0, I think, because it's like an 11-goal swing, isn't it? Yeah, it's not going to happen.
But it's still, I mean, look, Millwall have got sneakily back up there without anyone really noticing, haven't they? They're only 3 points away from the playoff positions now. That, again, is partly due to the teams in sort of 5th, 6th. I mean, there was West Brom in 5th. Last time, blink and you miss it, they were in 5th. They've lost a few games and they're down to 8th. You know, it's... Nobody seems to want those last 2 playoff positions. At the moment, it's Bristol City that look like the nailed-on ones to be in there. But yeah, that changes week on week at the moment.
Cov did so well to get into those spots, and they're drawing now and back-to-back losses before that. So it's like they just don't want to be there either. It's like people choke, and as soon as they choke, bam, the form dropped off a cliff. But Millwall, so streaky, they went on that tremendous winning run that propelled them into the playoffs in the first place, and then they went on a horrendous run of form, and then went on another winning run, and now they're just starting up another winning run, like 2 back-to-back. Fair play to them. Right, on to an interesting one, because it's 2 teams that are sort of clawing their way out of the relegation scrap. It's Portsmouth versus Derby.
Yeah, so I've gone 2-2, just to get that bit out of the way. I've gone 2-2. I think this will be a good game, and I think this is going to be a really tough test for Derby. Derby have just come away with a point against Burnley, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And should be mentioned. I mean, their resilience at this level, and their fight to keep on pushing to keep out of the relegation zone now. They got themselves out of it. I mean, they were all but doomed a couple of months ago. They were, for me, bang at the bottom of the table at one point, and 4 wins in a row, plus of course an excellent point against the team that was top of the league at the time. I think is an incredible feat. So fair play to them. I just think Portsmouth at home are so strong, and of course it's a big game. It's another 6-pointer really, because as things stand, I think Portsmouth are 4 points now away if they carry on. If they do draw this game against Coventry, otherwise before tonight's games, they're only a win away from the relegation zone themselves. Again, sort of looked all but safe a few weeks ago, but a couple of poor results with the form teams at the bottom, and you're struggling again. Yeah, but there'll be goals in this. I think both teams have shown that they can score. And Portsmouth at home are a force to be reckoned with. So, 2-2.
Yeah, interesting. I've gone Derby 2, Portsmouth 1. Or actually, it's Portsmouth 1, Derby 2, isn't it? Because Portsmouth are playing at home. I have nothing else to add, because I think you summarised the situation incredibly well. John Eustace has done a tremendous job at Derby.
Yeah.
And it was a hell of a draw. Brilliant draw for them.
If he's not proved himself as a great manager at both ends of the table by now, I don't know when he will. Yeah,
exactly. The brand of football isn't great, but you know what? It's effective, and you don't need great football to get promoted. You don't. Right.
Or to stay up in this case.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. But, a lot of managers come in, they play like attritional football, and people are like, oh, the football's so boring. Well, it's what Warnock did to get success for so many years. You play attritional football, and you have 1 or 2 players that are your flair players that create stuff in the game. So, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Right, on to QPR versus Bristol City.
Yeah, and despite doing this prediction before tonight's results, and I don't know what the current score is with QPR. Last time I checked, Oxford were losing 2-0, but
it's
feel free to
now.
It's 2-1.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but look, I didn't see a win coming for QPR, to be fair, away at Oxford, or a win anywhere, but I still would back Bristol City. At the moment, they're the form team in the playoffs. As I just said, it's almost impossible to see that run continuing for anyone, because it doesn't seem to. As soon as a team looks like they're almost nailed on a spot, they start losing games. But they're finding ways to score, and maybe even more impressively for Bristol City, and it's something that they've struggled with over recent seasons. They're keeping it out the other end as well, and they've got a formula that's clearly working. 2-1 seems to be that formula. So yeah, I think they keep it going in this game exactly as that. So QPR 1, Bristol City 2 for me.
Yeah, I've gone for 2-0 to Bristol City. They have impressed me, and obviously I was harsh on them. Scott Twine's a standout player. However, Mark Sykes has really impressed me in recent weeks. He's so direct, and he has a shot on him. Tremendous player. Absolutely tremendous player. And defensively, they are solid. It's like they didn't even need Cal Naismith in the end, which is correct. They didn't, because defensively, they are absolutely sound. QPR, on the other hand, I thought they'd thrown in the towel. This could be their first win in God knows how long. My form table doesn't even go back that far. Like, they haven't won in the last 5, and I'm pretty sure it goes back
it's a lot longer than that.
Longer. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a lot longer than that. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, QPR and Blackburn sort of capitulated again at the same time. The only problem for QPR is they were a bit closer to the relegation zone when they started it. And they're not, even though they're on the points they are, I think up until tonight, I'd have said they're still not safe. Obviously, if they win this game, that's a different story. I think that's pretty much them done and out of it. So
no, I think you've got to get above 50 points. I think Blackburn could be safe, but remember, I did predict them to drop to 15th, and I think you predicted them to drop to 14th.
Oh,
and that looks like it's going to happen. Yeah, we did that like 5 games ago, and it seems we were right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Could see it happening. Bristol City 2, QPR 0. On to Sheffield Wednesday versus Oxford.
Yeah, come on, Sheffield. And I mean Sheffield, all of you.
Even Sheffield FC, the oldest football club.
Yeah, even Sheffield FC. Come on, what's happening? I don't know. Sheffield Wednesday, clearly lots of stuff being talked about with Danny Roll as well. Do you want to go to Southampton, really? I mean, 10 points at the moment in the Premier League. It's
record breakers, Southampton, the quickest Premier League relegation in history.
Yes, of course, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and yet we hear nothing about it yet when Luton were going to be relegated by Christmas. Garth, cheers, mate. Anyway, enough of that particular bee in my bonnet.
These are the worst 3 teams in the Premier League, in the history of the Premier League.
And I am surprised actually with Ipswich, but we won't talk all through that now. But I think really poor. Right, I've gone for 2-1 Oxford. I found it hard to call, but I just didn't want to do a draw. I think Oxford have at least shown some desire in games to get results. Since I basically wrote them off and said they were going to finish third from bottom, I think they went and beat Watford. Cheers, Watford. And then, of course, they go and beat Sheffield United as well at home. So despite the fact that they've also lost a fair few games and, they're still in trouble or they still are in trouble, I think. But I think it's for them, it's a bigger game. So, I've gone for a tight 2-1 win for Oxford.
See, I knew this was going to happen because it seems Oxford can only beat teams on the M1, up and down the M1. So in reality, I've gone for a 1-0 win for Oxford because, after all, Sheffield are on the M1 as far as I'm aware. My geography's a little bit rusty and I don't venture up there too often.
You're right.
They beat Sheffield United. Now they're going back up the M1 to get some more points. But that'll do.
Yeah, exactly. I hadn't made that connection before. There you go.
Yeah, well, QPR are not on the M1. The M1 stops at Brent Cross. So, it doesn't go to West London.
Right, yes, exactly. Well, there you go. That must be it. That's the reason. Yeah, add that to your team talks.
This team are on the M1. That means we have to beat them, lads.
Right, okay. Well, it's an interesting tactic, but...
I think Oxford are going to win that 1-0, and it will really make it very interesting at the bottom of the table. It really will. Sunderland versus Swansea.
Yeah, I have to say, I was so tempted to put this the other way. So I've gone for a Sunderland 2-1 win, but I was so tempted to go Swansea 2-1, and it could easily be that as well. I've been saying it for ages now. I feel like a stuck record about Sunderland. So, my thoughts haven't changed. Obviously, they've guaranteed themselves a playoff place now. What a surprise. They guaranteed it in about January, I think, but fine. They've not been overly convincing for me for a long time. A pretty lackluster draw against Norwich in their last game kind of supports that too. I've gone for 2-1 because it's Stadium Light, but feel free to go for a Swansea win, and I wouldn't argue with you.
No, I agree with you. I've also gone 2-1 Sunderland, and now that they're sorted in the playoffs, they've gotta be consistent. Like, I know autos are gone, but they need. You're right. You've said it. You've been banging on about it like a broken record, but you're right. You gotta keep that form. You've got to be tough to beat. If they can go the rest of the season without losing, I think they'll have a good shot in the playoffs, carrying that momentum in. Wins or draws, but they have to be wins or draws. That they cannot lose. If they want to have a realistic expectation of going up, they have to win all they have to not lose any of their
Yeah.
games.
I mean, I was all but certain that Sunderland were going to win the playoff a long time ago,
Yeah.
actually. But now, I mean, I still think that, whoever finishes third is going to have that problem that Leeds had last season, clearly, because whoever it is going to finish third by, a point, 2 points maximum, really. Nobody wants fifth or sixth. So it's not as if there's someone steaming up the league with momentum at the moment. There's still maybe time. If Bristol City keep putting runs of games, etc. But I can't see a team, I don't know about you, below Sunderland that I really think at the moment, in terms of form and their team, could really challenge them, who could beat them over 2 legs. But yeah, it's a dangerous place to be with 5 games to go. As Borough showed a few seasons ago, you have to keep that momentum going. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to get unstuck.
Yeah, look, Bristol City could come with a game plan and just sit back and suffocate them, but I don't really, I don't really see anyone that could live with Sunderland if they turn up on the day. I've gone 2-1 Sunderland. Well, I've already said that, haven't I? Right, on to
say again.
I'll say again. I've gone 2-1 Sunderland. Sunderland fans, if you're watching this, subscribe to the channel because you'll be in the Championship next season. Maybe. Right. Another playoff contender. It's West Brom versus Watford.
I'm starting to think they'll be in the Championship next season now. Yeah, what happened? They got 5th and decided they didn't fancy it anymore.
It's a hot potato.
It really is. I mean, look,
playoffs are lava.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that. I mean, look, I think in terms of West Brom, I mean, when's the last time they won a game? 6-7 games ago now. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's something like 6-7 games ago. Feel free, West Brom fans, to get in touch in the chat. I know there's a couple of you that follow the channel, so please do. But I mean, they're losing by tight margins, and they were winning by tight margins before. So you'd say that the swing hasn't changed all that much. Tight 2-1 loss against Bristol City, tight 1-0 loss against Sunderland. They lost 1-0 against Norwich as well, which you'd say is disappointing, especially considering the last minute nature of that Josh Sargent goal. But look, yeah, as you said, it's a hot potato up there, and they don't want it. I don't see them getting back into this at the moment. I really don't. It's just that kind of mentality to kind of either see a game out or to turn some of those draws into wins. So yeah, for me, Watford win it, and Watford, madness, really, isn't it? That Watford are still in it. They are. I mean, you can lose.
But they're not going to
games.
make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs.
I don't think they will. So I tend to agree. But they are 4 points away. They can put a run together. They could be. They could do it. I don't think they will. I really don't. You've got Quado Barr still out, I think. Chakvatase's out for them as well. They're 2 massive players that they would need to really sustain a push. They're not consistent enough. I think they've won 2 of their last 5, but no one is up there either. So 2-1 Watford, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think Watford can probably... The only way they grab the playoffs is if everyone ahead of them just continues to choke constantly. But yeah, in all fairness, that sort of... Yeah, it is happening. I've gone for a Desmond here. I've gone 2-2. It's got to end for West Brom. I thought Pulis had turned it around for a while. It did look like he had, the tight draws were turned into wins. The games where they were losing were turned into draws, but now the wheels seem to have come off, and 3 losses back to back. Not good. But I fancy them to stop the rot, get a draw against Watford. It's at home. Boilerman will spur them on. And,
come on, Boilerman.
Yeah, come on, Boilerman. Beat that drum. Is there a drum? I don't even know if there's a drum at the Hawthorns.
I don't think that. I don't remember there being a drum.
Yeah. Boilerman seems the type of person that would have a drum.
He does not have a drum. I can confirm that. I'm a subscribed, paid up member to the Boilerman fan club at the Hawthorns. So no drum fan.
Right. Okay. Final one this week. It's Hull City versus Coventry City.
And I've gone for a Hull City win. Look, I don't want to be all I told you so about this. I mean, you can be all I told you so about this, but I think that neither of us, despite their amazing run, are that convinced about Frank Lampard. And I'm not suggesting that their recent slight dip in form is like, oh, he's terrible, I told you he was terrible, etc. But the one criticism that you should everybody should be able to have of him is that he's shown time and time again that he can't get things over the line. He showed it with Derby, even with Chelsea to an extent in that season as well. And of course, now it's the business end where I think he tends to struggle. And he did properly lose it in the Burnley game as well, and ended up getting sent off after the full-time whistle as well. And that is not great. It shows a lack of control and will kind of feed into players as well. So, yeah, they can join the list of teams that just don't seem to want that last playoff pace at the moment. You could argue, of course, they've had a very tough run of games. I mean, they have just played Sunderland, Sheffield United and Burnley in a row. That is tough for anybody, even if you are at the top of the table. Hull, yeah, they love a 1-0. I just feel it. I feel it in my bones. They're going to win 1-0. At the moment, I think Portsmouth Coventry is still 0-0 on as I say, we're recording on Wednesday night. So, yeah, 1-0 Hull. Not convinced, Cov. Sorry.
Cov have a fantastic squad. And one thing that Lampard does do well is he can take a good squad and get them playing. However, as we've said, not convinced with Lampard tactically. I think he's terrible. He strikes me as, from his outburst, he strikes me as the type of person that's sort of like, do you know who I am? I'm Frank Lampard. Like that sort of guy.
Is he phoning his uncle up? Getting Harry on the phone.
I'm Frank Lampard. No, not Harry Redknapp. He probably says it to his dad. I'm Frank Lampard. And his dad says, I'm Frank Lampard. Because they're both with Frank Lampard, obviously.
Of course they are, yeah.
Yeah. I played for West Ham. No, I played for West Ham. Not struck on Frank Lampard. I think he's a manager that trades off his name. And now he's trading off a fantastic squad. And yes, they had an unbelievable searing run of form. And yes, like maybe they did come up against like some really tough people. But right now, like they're struggling to beat Portsmouth.
Yeah.
So
they are.
I think they've run out of steam. Momentum's a hell of a thing. Momentum can carry you a long way. Look at QPR. QPR went on that insane run that carried them into the top half of the table. The only difference right now is the fact that Coventry did it later. Like it's like a wave, a crest of a wave, and now the wave is falling. It'd be interesting to see if Cov do fall away. But for this, I've actually gone Hull 2, Cov 3. I've gone high scoring.
Oh,
yeah. Well, if Haji Wright can stay on sides,
it's more the Hull 2 that I'm concerned about. Where you think those two goals are coming from?
Aren't so bad. Is João Pedro back yet?
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. He's all right. Ruben Sellers, like, he's got a whole playing, but they're just so streaky. That's the problem. But I think this could be a very open game because Cov are open at the back. You've seen like some of their horrendous defending that stuff against Burnley.
That own goal.
That's shaky confidence right there, and I feel the pressure is getting to them of being in the playoffs. But I do think they'll win this. But I think it's going to be a very open game at the back.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the open game bit at the back. I think with Hull, the issue for me is that they just lack that kind of, I don't know what it is, that kind of
je ne sais quoi.
It's toughness, I think, for me. I think it's very nice in the middle of the park. It's very good kind of play in the middle of the park, but there's not enough grit at the back or the front to really, really kind of, they need someone to really kind of push them into that, like a big kind of, tall type captain, like a few years ago for Stoke, sort of a Danny Bart type player. I know that's not how Hull want to play, but it feels like they need someone like that will push them. Anyway, I think Yeah, you could well be right. Coventry have got the firepower to win. I've just seen as well, I don't know whether you saw this earlier in the game, Victor Torp getting stretchered off quite early in the
Oh,
game
that is
between Portsmouth,
significant.
which is big. Obviously, they've got Ben Sheaf to come on, but Victor Torp has found some absolutely incredible form the second half of this season. So, yeah, it's not nice to see that. And obviously, that's a massive blow for Coventry as well. So that may well play into the last few fixtures, even if it's not against Hull.
That could be significant. Yeah. Right. Ryman, who is your lock of the week?
I have gone with a Bristol City away win at QPR. Again, before the game started, I stuck this one down, but I'll still go for it because I think Bristol City have got at least one more game in them before the losing streak starts and someone else decides to fill in the 5th and 6th places in the playoffs.
Yeah, fair play. I'm going bold here. I'm going Plymouth 1, Sheffield United 0.
That is bold.
Yeah, you know what they say. Go big or go home.
Yeah.
I'm going big.
You are. You really are. Full on Wilder meltdown, that would be.
I know. I can't wait for it.
I'll bring the popcorn.
I don't know who he's going to blame. Probably the ref and the grass. Yeah. Say, why do they call it home park? I don't feel at home here. There weren't sandwiches in the dugouts. Right. That's us done for this week. Yeah. Yes. Right. Anything to add?
No, I think you've said it all. I can't add anything to that.
This doesn't feel like home to me. Right. Yeah, that's us. If you managed to make it this far into the episode, well done. What's wrong with you? Yeah, well, I don't know what's wrong with you. Here's a medal. Remember to subscribe while you're here. Enjoy our content. Check our channel out. Have a look at what we do. Bit of Championship, bit of Luton. But that's us. And whoever you support, hope you have a great week. Everyone, take care.